you will overcome. The only way you can fail is if you quit. Never quit. Keep pushing. You will get there in the end. Failure doesn't exist in the mind of champions. All it does is push them to a higher level. Are you a champion?
From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another conversation with Trent and Shann, and also Trent and Shann and friends. So we promised we bring that topic back to you guys this Wednesday that we didn't do on Sunday due to technical difficulties, but everyone's in attendance and we're ready to go. The topic tonight, drum roll please. You're not sick, you're single. So here's how we do here on the conversation. I just throw different things out at either Shann or Mark or Tammy and just throw it out there and see what I get back. See what type of spice I'm going to add to the gumbo pot. And actually last week rather, I threw something at Shann and that's what I came back with. That's what she came back with. You're not sick, you're single. So I know exactly what my thought process was on it. I was wondering what hers was, and as well as Tammy. We got Communication Coach Tammy Gaitor out of Memphis in here tonight to break everything down. But came up with a thought when she sent that text to me about you're not sick, you're single. I thought about a blog I had written back in maybe 2012 and actually published that in the Conversation Limited Edition book and released it to give away. Just give it to the readers for free for supporting Chapter the Delta, that book series, The Four Horsemen. And it was a blog called Dining for One. That's when I was going through my separation, which led to the divorce. And that thought from Shannon triggered that memory, I should say. But let's bring him in. Let's bring this to light. 1 second. Hey.
Hey, good evening.
How are y'all?
Good.
What's going on, ladies? What's going on? What's going
Tammy,
on?
I see you.
You see me?
I see you, Joe. I see you.
Good
Y'all,
stuff,
this
good
is
stuff.
my lights just came back on. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
God.
wow.
Look. So the weather got pretty bad here.
Yeah, the weather's pretty bad here now, so hopefully
Yeah,
the
rain
lights
and
stay
all
good.
that.
Yeah,
But we got power now.
we gotta have a
Oh,
conversation. So
We
you're
have
not
a lot
sick.
of work going on here, so.
I
Yeah,
think you guys are gonna get it tomorrow, Shann, right? Y'all gonna get
Whoa,
that
okay.
weather. It's what I heard. My cousin, you were in Atlanta,
yeah, it's coming
right?
through now.
Around
It's blowing through. It's blowing through New Orleans right now.
Is there rain?
Yeah. It's supposed to
Rain,
hit
wind,
come y'all's way, Shann, tomorrow.
Oh, well, that actually the rain would be good. It's falling.
She
Good
said,
stuff.
"Oh, yeah." They let kids out of school here today and everything. They got out at 11 o'clock.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bring the conversation that we were supposed to have on Sunday. Due to technical difficulties, we just couldn't have it. And I promised everyone that we'd bring it because I got a bunch of messages about the title. And I was kind of glad that I got the title because my nephew out in DC gave me a thought. He was like, hey, why don't you just throw titles out there? Everybody knows the Conversation with Trent and Shann. Everybody know that by now. So just throw the title for clickbait. And it actually worked. Deontay, it actually worked. So that's good stuff there, man. So you're not sick, you're single. I know my spice I want to add to, but Shann, I want to jump right in and get your spice on what you adding to that gumbo pot. When I sent that text over and you sent that back, you're not sick, you're single. What was your thought process on that?
Well, I think at the time I was watching a movie, and it had kind of inspired me about with that whole thing. And it's actually, the line is from a movie. It was from Hitch. That's the movie.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Of all movies to be watching with the star, the
All right.
But basically it was kind of like, with being, I guess, single, and having, you're going through the process of, whether you're on apps or you're at speed dating events or just different things where you're constantly meeting new people, and things you're just not clicking with the right one, or you just haven't found the right one to click with. And you kind of get in that space like, is something wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where it came from. And it's kind of like, there's nothing wrong with you, i.e. sick. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just single,
Right.
going through the motions of being single.
Okay. Okay. Well, when you sent the text back to me with that phrase, it took me back to a time when I was actually going through it. I was living in Michigan, and I used to frequent this restaurant called J. Alexander's when Teresa and I split. So I was still living in Michigan at the time, and so I'd have dinner every night by myself. After work, go straight to J. Alexander's, glass of wine, get some grouper, and so I'm sitting there, and one is normally it's like around happy hour and all stuff. You'd have a bunch of ladies sitting there wondering why I'm there by myself. But them not knowing I was in self-discovery mode at that point. I was still a very dangerous man because I was not far removed from the man I used to be. So, they were spared and was given a pass, but that it's brought up a different type of emotions. I started digging for this blog and I picked up the book. It's like, there it is. It's called Dining for One. But I jotted some notes down as well when you brought up the topic. 2 points, two major points, as far as stay single until you fall in love with your independent spirit. Stay single until you fall in love with your independent spirit. One, you have to love yourself first before anyone can love you. Two, sometimes we drag people along that are not ready. I was doing that in my entire dating life, dragging people along, knowing I wasn't ready for sure. I wasn't ready for sure, but I'm playing the game. I'm just out here dating and doing my thing. But when I was actually sitting there at that dinner table at J. Alexander's, I thought something was wrong with me. But actually, something really was wrong with me because I was broken. So bringing someone else into the gumbo pot was a very terrible thing to do. So strictly solitude for me from that point on until I got better to actually start dating again. So I removed myself from the dating scene completely. Tammy?
Well, I'll share my personal story, and then I'll come back to when you sent me the topic. So for me, you guys, there was a time, and it's very important for me to put out there that I was not in this space where I am now. This confident, peaceful, as you would say, independent spirit, but
Right.
also open to being dependent as it relates to relationships. But I was not single, but not married either. I was separated. I was in this phase of a very dark time, and I was at church this particular night. There's a book, you guys, called God, Chicks, and the Men They Love. And it was Holly, and I wish I could remember her husband's name, but it's a husband and wife team. They wrote a book together, God, Chicks, and the Men They Love. So she wrote a chapter, then he would write a chapter. He would follow her chapter. So she'd have maybe 10, 15, 20 pages, and he'd come back with a one pager. So again, God, Chicks, and the Men They Love. Super, super, super book. So nonetheless, I'm sitting there, and well, let me back up. I went with some friend girls, and I think it was maybe about 5 or 6 of us. And it was so crowded until we kind of had to sit in different places. And so I ended up being on the corner of an aisle where I could just kind of jump out. And the pastor came up and said, for the first person that would come up, he asked for single people to stand. Let me go back, single, and he asked for married people to stand. And I was in a place where I didn't know where I fit, and that was a mental place for me. And so I'm at church, so I'm down on myself. I'm feeling some kind of way. I'm in church feeling some kind of way. And I felt so bad and displaced, I would say, until before I knew it. I think it was an out of body thing. I was running down the aisle to the thing was you come down and you do the electric slide with the pastor of all things. So I went down
Yeah,
and
wait. In church?
seriously, it
Wow.
wasn't church. It was like a out, and I don't get caught up in it. I think if I can do the electric slide wherever I go, I don't think it's a disgrace. I mean,
Right,
depends
right.
on what. So I didn't get caught up in that. So I went down. I won my book. I went home and I dove in that book. That was meant for me, even down to the point where we got separated, because I felt like if I would have been in the middle where I had to climb across people to get down there, I wouldn't have made it. But the moral to the story as it relates to this topic is I had allowed the world to put me in a box that I got in, because we sometimes talk about single, and I was sick just because of my thought process about being where I was. Um,
Hmm.
Now on this side, you guys, it's like I don't even down to going to eat. I did a lot of that alone, but I can say I had gotten to my place where I was just there to eat. It wasn't about being single. It wasn't about
Right.
who was pointing me out or thinking, because you see somebody out and you just automatically assume, oh, they're alone. That's not always
Mm,
the case. It could just be my husband could be out of town and I decided to go to dinner by myself. So
true.
Trent, I heard you say that you people wondering
Yeah.
why you're there by yourself.
There, I
You
mean,
don't
there will be,
wonder
there will be these group of women, and they'd see me every happy hour, but I wasn't there for the happy hour. I was there for the dinner,
that. Okay.
and I
Ah,
happened to be separated, so it'd be like 5, 6 women. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, y'all just don't know, y'all just been spared, because I'm not far removed from the guy I used to be. I was still in self discovery mode, and I was still in my transition back into the single life.
Right.
So, at that point, there's a lot of pain with that past relationship, that marriage. So I was reflecting. I was like, well, I'm not trying to inflict any more pain because I just got out of my karma of 10 years. So I wasn't too far removed from the man I used to be. So I was like, yeah, you guys are spared. Not telling them that, but I'm like, wow. Like, why, you know what I mean? I mean, they just every single day they would actually pick at me one at a time. Not pick at me, but just throw themselves out there. I was like,
hmm
Y'all, can I read this? It was an interesting definition about single. The
hmm
definition says single is unmarried or not involved in a stable sexual relationship.
wait, repeat that. Say that again.
Okay.
That's
I'm
interesting.
serious. So again, we got to be mindful of how we put ourselves in boxes and label, because the box will seal itself up while we're in it. So it says unmarried or not involved. Now, or not involved in a stable sexual relationship. So we got some married people that are single, according to this definition, right?
That's
So
interesting. That's interesting.
that's interesting. It really is interesting.
A
I like
stable
repeat,
sexual. I wonder why it comes up with the sexual
I
component
know,
of it.
and that's my point. Like, where does I'm telling you, and I think
repeat
there's
that for the viewers
there's
because I've missed that. I need you to see, I see these numbers rising. Repeat that again. That definition. Repeat that again.
so un, unmarried or
Mhm.
not involved in a stable sexual relationship.
Now, what I'm taking from that is stable sexual relationship. This is what I'm taking from it. Like, let's say Romello. We'll bring Romello into the picture for a second. I was in a marriage, but it wasn't stable because I was humping around. Very
Mhm.
toxic. Even though I had the marriage, I was still toxic.
What
So
did,
I
whoa,
think
whoa,
that
whoa, 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 whoa.
I
Wait a minute.
totally did.
Which marriage are we talking about? Which
The
marriage are you
first,
talking about?
the
The
first
first
one.
one. Okay.
Yeah, the first one. So that's very interesting, man. Stable sexual relationship.
Yeah, a stable
Where'd that
sexual
definition come from?
relationship.
What's the source of that definition?
I just always I like looking up words, and this is from just dictionary.
Okay.
Yes, and they give several. Only one, not one of several. Then the second one is unmarried, not the one that I read. And then there's
Mhm.
one, an individual person or thing rather than part of a pair or a group.
Wow. That is just kind of like,
Isn't that though?
It's interesting. I'm a looker of words. I like to know what they mean, y'all, because I think the energy, and sometimes we don't know what we're taking on. So I
Exactly.
have just tried to not let words
But
define me,
can you
not put
imagine?
myself in a
Can you
box.
guys imagine? Can you guys imagine if I had took the bait at J. Alexander's on either of those women? What type of toxic I would be transferring to them at that time?
mm.
That would have been very, very horrific. Bad, real bad.
Yeah, it really takes, I think, I think the last show that we did, we were talking about knowing yourself, that you kind of have to know yourself to know what your boundaries or
Right.
expectations are. And you have to know yourself to know whether or not I, you're going to be, not whether or not, just not so much whether someone else is going to be good for you, but whether you're going to be good for someone else.
Exactly. But I had to tell you though, I have to say this, Shannon. For me, at that time, this is real, real. A lot of folks probably like, wow, what are you talking about, Trent? The reason why I made the decision not to move forward with any of those women, because the pain that was inflicted on me from the relationship that I was walking away from. I thought about the pain.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about the pain. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I just went through 10 years of craziness, so I'm good right now. I thought about the pain. Thought about the pain. Because I right smack dab in the middle of the karma.
Right. Well, before we continue, I want to make sure we just acknowledge the folks that have already joined in. So, good evening, Mark and Wendy and Latasha. Welcome. And Mark sent us a comment. He said, I read on tonight's show topics and several articles on aromantic people, which are defined as people who love to be in a relationship, feeling indifferent, not being attached, perhaps feeling anxiety. So was that the actual full definition, Mark, for aromantic people as
As
far as?
son placed that in the group, it was very interesting. Actually placed it under the ad, right up under the ad
Huh?
for the show.
But
I
is
think,
that the full definition? Because it seems
I
kind
think it is, if I can
Yeah,
recall
it seems a little
correctly.
blotchy where it says. So are they, I think I see what you're saying, Shan. Are
yeah.
they? Yeah, read that again.
Where basically where it says they're defined as people who love to be in a relationship, feeling indifferent, not being attached is where I'm losing it there, and perhaps feeling anxiety. So, do they feel anxiety if they're not attached to a relationship? I'm not sure. So, if you could clarify that, or if you have any more information on that, Mark, that would be great. But do you guys know any people that are like that, aromantic? If they, folks who love being in relationships or have to feel like they have to be in a relationship? I've never had that. Like, I enjoy being in a relationship. I don't feel that I have to be in one
Shan,
necessarily.
I think a lot of people, more people than would probably admit, not saying that they have to be defined as this type of person, but I think society just puts this label that if you're not in one, then something's wrong with you,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
you you are not worthy or something, why isn't this guy choosing you or this girl? Why aren't you the one being chosen or haven't been chosen thus far? So I think people want to be in a relationship because they want to fit into society's mold.
I
Hmm.
think that
That's a
society
good point.
frowns upon women like that, but men they really give those guys a pass. I never understood that.
You guys get a pass on a lot of things.
A lot of things,
You
yeah.
can have a batting average of 600 and you get
Still be a
all
good guy.
accolades. We have a batting average of 2 and we're still sluts and hoes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Woo. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Mark said, not in a stable relationship, question mark. Sounds like unwritten rules and gray areas. Marriage vow under God. Does that result in seeking stability between the sheets? As far as I'm assuming you're referring to the definition of single. I'm one. Is that though? So do you have to have stability underneath the sheets in order to not be single? And what is stability? What does the sexual stability mean? Does that mean consistent with the same person, with one person? Like,
I would think that it's consistent with one person.
hmm,
That's what
with
I
the
would. That's what I
okay.
perceive it to be.
Well, if we're
Mm.
talking about the word, then the word says for that we should not withhold our bodies, And so I guess that would make it stable if we don't. I don't know. But bringing the spiritual part in it is, I think, a whole nother world, whole
Oh
nother.
yeah,
discussion
That
does
most
show.
definitely.
Wow. I am just like really surprised to see that part of that definition has to be
Yeah, has sex in it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that it's not stable. Well, what is stable sex? Like, and am I having it with somebody that I'm like committed to, or is this like, you know, a friend with benefit? We're stable right now because neither one of us are want to be committed with each other. Like, yeah,
I would think a solid, committed relationship with a foundation in the same, I guess, morals, values, and things like someone, two people. Well, I don't know if we can put two people in it now, about in these days, but two people who are moving forward in the same direction, even if one's moving while the other one's standing still for a moment. I think of stable being sitting in a stable chair versus a unstable one. Solid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's 22 at the hour, folks. We'll take a real quick break and come back on the other side of the break, and we're gonna get more into this. You're not sick, you're single, and I actually want to add the assessment. Talk about the assessment on the other side of the break as well, as far as couples and single folks. So.
I'd like for if before we go to break, just to kind of leave something for the viewers or for folks that are tuning in to kind of think about and maybe let us know your thoughts on. But where, if you are single, where are you at in your singleness? Like, how are you feeling about the prospect of being single versus being in a part of a relationship?
Right.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Can we actually participate?
Yeah, we can participate. Yeah, after the break. Yeah.
Good stuff. We'll be right back, folks.
Thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Trent. We will be right back with more conversation after these commercial breaks.
Check out the creative work of the author Trent Williams of www.taylorkennedymedia.com. Chapter of the Delta gives us a peek at his life-changing events. And if that's not enough, Trent tells you more about his brothers and his life through memoirs in his book, The Four Horsemen. His blogs and daily stimulating quotes are published in his book, Life's Little Addiction. And when you have a need of some human coaching of life and relationships, take a look at Conversations with Trent, Volume 1 and 2, and Conversations with Trent, Limited Edition. You will find his works available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all online book retailers.
Welcome back to Conversations with Trent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're online and want to be a part of tonight's topic, you can do that by dialing 347-324-5327. Press the number 1 to get into the queue so that your voice can be added to tonight's conversation. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right, good stuff, folks. Good stuff. We're back. Actually, the last ad there was Tab's Edible Creation. Hey, man, I saw that chocolate cake for you delivered today.
Oh, yes. I heard it was delicious. I mean, I tasted. I knew the cake was really good as I was baking it, but
Good stuff.
yeah, it went just like that according to the customer when she gave me told me how everyone loved it. But yeah, you've got to really be a chocolate lover to want that triple chocolate cake. But it was,
Exactly.
yeah,
Good stuff. Good
it was
stuff.
definitely a winner.
For all your cooking needs, that's tabsediblecreation.com.
Cookies, cakes. Easter's coming up, so I'm taking orders now for Easter. Of course, when is Easter's the 17th of this month.
Good stuff.
So yeah.
Good stuff. So the question you posed to the viewers, what was it?
Where you are, if you are single, where you are at in your singleness or single journey right now, and what your thoughts are on really. I want to say being single now, and where in maneuvering, and what your thoughts are on maneuvering into a potential relationship.
Right. Well, I'll go first. Where
Okay.
I'm at in my singleness. I'm actually single, and my tolerance button is actually broken. It doesn't work anymore.
You,
So my tolerance, the button is broken, so it doesn't work anymore.
what does that mean? Your tolerance. What is your tolerance at? Like where we?
As far as if to date, to go and do the dating thing, everything has to align. Everything has to align for me.
You kill me when you talk like that, because nobody's relationship is going to be aligned consistently. If you're not willing for somebody to get on your damn nerves at least a good couple of times a day, really,
A day?
yes.
A,
You don't live together
a day? You
without bumping into each other. It's just like driving. There's going to be a wreck.
I'm
And
sure it
sometimes
is,
it's
but
going to be a good one.
I know
And
maybe
you
maybe
act as though you are not going to show up in somebody's life and just and not disturb them. You do know your shit stinks, right?
Oh. Mm.
knock it off.
Shan. And mine does too. Everybody's does, and somebody's gonna have to smell yours sometimes, and you're gonna have to be willing to smell theirs.
I mean, I know I can be a complete handful, two handfuls. I do, but I do have requirements on some things.
But everybody should. You should have requirements, but they shouldn't be so much so that no one can go through an open door. And I didn't
Yeah.
say closed one. Like if your door is open and no one can enter it because you have all these things.
Hey, I didn't ask you to come on and coach me.
Whatever.
You opened yourself up for that when you said, "Can we
I have
participate in
something
answering the question?"
before y'all go. I want to share something with you guys that someone brought to my attention, and I've been dying to ask this pastor, what did he mean by this? Because I could see so much hurt in people who are single, but also believers. So I'm going to read this to you guys, and I have to let it simmer. And a pastor post this. If you want to serve Christ, stay single. If you want to be like Christ, get married.
That's interesting.
I get it.
Tell me more, Shann. Explain it to me.
Because what was the first one? If you want
to serve Christ, stay single. If you want to be like Christ, get married.
For me, being like Christ, the one word that comes to mind, so that's relational, is just love. Being and just exhibiting love. And so I could definitely see that when they say get married, because really at the core of it, that's what you're doing with that other person. Everything that you do, everything that you put up with, all you do it in love, right? It's long suffering, it's patient, it's kind, it's not boastful, all that stuff.
Can you do that single though? Can you do that single in everyday life? Or you can, but not to the capacity that you have to do it in marriage.
Yes. And I think what I'm trying to put the words together as far as if you want to serve, and to me, it's what serving would mean that you're completely and totally focused on being Christ-like in everything you do. You
In
don't
your
have
marriage?
or no, if you want to serve, then be single, right? But
Mhm.
when you're in a marriage, you can't just be centered focused like that. You also still have to focus on that other person.
But can't you be
And
Christ-like and single? See,
I
and
think you can be Christ-like and single. I think it's challenging. Now let's get to the reality of
think it's more
sometimes of
challenging
what's
to be Christ-like
challenging.
in marriage.
Well, yeah, but that's where all that other stuff to me comes in, like the forgiveness, having patience. When I think about being, hey, Facebook user, can you tell us your name, please, so we know who you are, and I'll have to refer to you as Facebook user. But thank you for saying sacrifice is a great word. In either capacity, right? Whether it's in the marriage portion or the singleness portion, right? So when I think sometimes about some of the things that you're supposed to do to be Christ-like when you're single, it should be abstinence is one of the things, right? That I probably struggled with a lot in life. And I think that to me is sacrifice. Even so, when you're in marriage, there's sacrifices that you make in a relationship because you have to compromise on some things. It's not going to always be your will. Sometimes you have to put the needs and wants and desires of that other person above your own for the higher good, so to speak, of that relationship. But
And
I can definitely see it.
right. And I get that, and I totally get this part about marriage, because I believe that marriage is one of the closest things to the love. I should say that. Let me say that a different way. Here I'll stay on the topic. Here's where when I read this, and it's a single lady who shared this with me and wanted my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But you have such a stigma already on single people. And now for a single person, especially a woman, to hear, oh, well, I'm single and I may be for the rest of my life. And that too
But
affects my spiritual,
I
how
have to say
spiritual
this.
I am.
I have to say this. So, being single is not a death certificate.
Right. I know. I've said that
Right.
to you many, many times, Trent. And I'm
It's
not saying
not.
that it is. My point here is that because society, things like this, even which I think the topic was said much better, so that people don't have this stomping on their feelings that they already have about being single. But when I see this one, someone like me, someone like Shann, someone like you, Trent, we may get it. But a person who is down and out about being single and they love God, now they have to put on another mark saying, okay, being single means I can only do so much spiritually, because I think you can be like Christ single or
Mm-hmm.
married.
Yeah, I don't think that you're limited to how
Right,
spiritual you can be based on being married or being single at all.
right.
Let's get to some of these comments. These folks are
Yeah.
going.
So Mark asked all the way back up at the 7:24 mark, because I know he'll go back and he'll say my comment at such and such time. So he said, Charlie, what's a batting average of 2? Basically none, because y'all don't want us to come to you with having any other partners prior to you. So I
What
always
was the
say,
question, Shan? What was
he
the
said,
question again?
what's the batting average of 2? So when I was mentioning the batting average of 600, we were talking about
Oh, okay.
partners. And Mr. Epic had told us that several episodes ago that was kind of his batting average. But women couldn't have that batting average. So
Okay.
to us, it has to be about 2 at the most. And that 2 better include that current person right then and there.
Okay.
So hey, Ursula, welcome. I see you on here. And the gentle giant, welcome. Let's see. Mark said, what if you're in a relationship with a devilish woman? I mean, really, I don't know. He said he's single, but tonight he's singular in the company of 3 strong women. He said, I'm getting my singles together for Matt Ryan's retirement party at Nikki's Blue Flame. Oh my God. Really? Is it the devilish woman, or are you the devilish man? I thought you were in seminary school right now, or
Yes,
seminary training.
it looks like the Facebook user throwing scripture out of Ephesians 5. Let's take a look at that.
Is that I don't know my
Well,
Bible.
yeah, that's where it talks about husband love your wives as Christ love the church and all that, Ephesians. So I'll go look there. I'll read there some more because I mean, I not to get off subject, but like I get what the pastor's saying about marriage and being like Christ. My part there is just the box that we put single people in, and I just don't want us to start limiting single
Yes.
people by how they can, if they can be like Christ, single or married. So
Let's throw a twist to this though. Why do women, not all, some women, think that it's a sickness? Being single is a sickness. Like she's gonna die if she don't get a husband by 35, 40, or
because
whatever.
little girls are taught from a young age you're going to grow up and get married and have babies and all this stuff in the world. I mean, that's why, because we buy them dolls, we make them mothers before they even know they got a vagina and what to do with it. Like, really, that's why, because they're taught that you are to grow up, get married, have a baby, take care of your husband, and all of that.
Yes.
Picket fence and all that.
But I mean, you think about it, even look at the Disney cartoons, right? With all the princess stories, Cinderella, Snow White, all this. That is what we are taught as a society, right? That marriage is the end all to every relationship. Where, and that was what we talked about before in the last show, does marriage have to, do you have to get married, or can you just, be in a long-term committed relationship?
Yeah.
And it's just different for everyone else. But I totally agree with Tammy. It's just part of what we're taught. And I don't necessarily think that men are taught the same thing, right? So women, we're taught, we have to preserve our virginity. And
I definitely wasn't taught that.
All of that stuff. But men, men are encouraged to go out there and you just sow your oats and, put your seed around out there. But you got to be doing it with somebody's daughter, right? But it is definitely something that as a society that we're taught, and we are looked at, when we are judged as women, if one, we've never been married, we're not married, or God forbid, the worst part, we don't have children. We judge women who even make an active choice that they don't want to have children and be a mother. Right? Every woman's supposed to want to be a mother. That's the ultimate, the highest, the highest regard, the highest job that you can have, the greatest job you can have, which it is. That's wonderful. I love being a mom. But we judge women as a society and for not being mothers.
Well, some guys, I know single guys,
women who cannot have kids. So like the things we judge people about, there's someone, who of no fault of their own, who cannot have kids. So that just goes to show that you can't put women in a box, because if every woman was supposed to have a child, then why would we have some wounds that are not capable of doing so?
So we've got two comments. Mark said he's listening to the sermon. He said the mind is strong, but the flesh is weak. Yes, that can be very true. Yes. And then our Facebook user said singleness increases a person's ability to serve God freely, and I'm assuming without restriction or consideration of another. Yes, I think that's perfectly sums up what the point I was trying to make about it.
Right. Which means you could be really more Christ-like single, I think, because you don't have to consider, you can do the things that you want, when you want, how you want.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's true. That's true. I agree.
And Mark said, real talk, men created the Disney princesses and woman bought it lock and stock and barrel. Women hear their biological clocks. Now Abraham had a child at 700 years. Very true. Very true. And that's what we were talking about, is that it's just something we've been taught. And that is a very good point too, Mark, that whole biological clock.
Yeah.
That's, it's very real for some women. And I don't know if it's because I got married a little bit, I don't even want to say younger, but I got married before I was 30, and I was finished having all of my children before 35, I want to say. So I didn't necessarily go through that whole biological clock, but I do have friends who have never been married and have not had children who are in my age group now, and their biological clock is tick. The biological clock, I think, is kind of winding down. But there's that other part that I've never been married. I need to get married, and sometimes running to the wrong person to get married. So to
Shan,
speak.
do you feel like women feel some kind of way if they haven't had a child by a certain age? Do you feel like women feel less valued or less of a woman if
Yes.
they don't?
Really?
Yes. I think it's for being married and also for having kids.
Hmm.
Guys do not think like that at all.
No, you don't. And I mean it's completely different. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we deal with as women's society wise or societal wise is you just have no idea. I think about when being in the workplace, and it's like men aren't like, it was so much pressure to be able to be up there and be on top of my game and performing at a high level and the job I was in, and then still being able to make sure that I'm focusing and giving time to my children. And I stressed over that for a long time. It's like I'm trying to be superwoman and trying to find that that work-life balance. And what I really understood from one of my mentors when we talked is there's no such thing as work-life balance. You have to create it. And at some point or another, one is going to take priority over the other.
Right.
I'm thankful now that, based on what we've gone through pandemic wise, as over the past couple of years, that more companies are considering that work, or starting to value and consider work-life balance more.
Right.
And it's not necessarily so shunned upon. Like, it would really bother me to have to, because if my child was sick at school when I was married, guess what? They weren't calling my husband or their dad. They were calling me to come get them. So here I am in, my corporate managerial position. I've got to go and tell my boss, I've got to go leave and go get my kid, all of that kind of stuff. Men don't have that same thing. You don't have that same pressure to feel like I'm letting my kids down. I'm not there with them because I've got to be here and stay for this meeting, or I've got to go do this, or even travel. So the pressures are very different for us as women in that sense. But all of that to say, Tammy, yes, I do feel that it's the same as far as women feeling a certain way if they don't have kids, as well as if, they're not married by a certain age.
And you made me think about something, Shan. I think it goes back to how you started the show, Trent and Shan. I think you said this as well about knowing yourself. You just have to know what you want, because you guys, this is how I showed up at any job. I will come sick. I will do my thing. But if I get a call, anything, I would say this in my interview about my son. I'm out. I'm not looking for you to tell you. I'm not asking for permission. If you can't find me, I'm out. And if I show up tomorrow and you don't want me here, cool. I didn't weigh the scales when it came to things like going to functions or whatever, because I knew that a dollar was not going to get those things back for me. And so I just remember not buying into the pressure of that, even in the midst of my sickness.
Yeah.
I just didn't, because I wanted different for my son. I wanted to be a different kind of mom, a different parent for my son. So I just remember telling the jobs and I remember some of them looking at me like I was really crazy. Like, you don't even have the job and you're telling me that you're going to be, yes, I am. Because I want to, if we could fix this now, so you don't hire me if this doesn't work for you. So that being said, you just have to know you. And I don't think people are doing enough to put in the time into themselves so that they don't allow the boxes to form around them, that they don't let the world put them in a single box, a married box, whatever box it is. No child, whatever. Don't allow it to put you in a box.
I'm glad you brought that up about they don't allow. But what we failed to realize, and what I failed to realize early on, I had to slow down and get me right first. I had to slow down and get me right before I could be any good to anyone.
Right.
I had to slow down and get me right.
Yeah.
Even in my marriage, I wasn't right. Not until that karma came knocking. And the only way I got my mind right, I answered that door. Because karma kept knocking until I answered. And it's a shame how pain have to take you back to get your mind right. And that's what actually got me on the straight and narrow, was that pain.
Pain is a powerful teacher, a very effective teacher.
It is.
Very effective. Very
It
effective.
is. It is.
Very, very effective. Very effective. But we have to slow down and get ourselves right before it can be good to anybody. And we can't be living in a delusional state. You have to be completely honest with yourself. You have to turn that inward mirror inward. You have to be willing to grab that stand-up mirror, not the hand mirror. You have to grab that stand-up mirror. You have to. You have to be brave enough to do it. That's the only way you're gonna get you forever.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So Mark said, oftentimes grandmothers and mothers pressure daughters and granddaughters to get married and bear children. Then anxious brides subsequently subscribe to Brides Magazine. They drag some unsuspecting good or not brother down the aisle. Hashtag shame, shame, shame. That's true. That's true. I've seen that.
Y'all know it's been a lot of brothers who didn't want to walk down that aisle, but just could not say, I'm not ready. And I think women too. I think they have like this come to Jesus meeting sometimes like, what am I doing? But even then we do it for society. We're afraid to say, let's just postpone this for a minute. We do it for society. And then
You know what's so funny? It's funny that you would say that. I was literally getting dressed for the wedding, getting ready to go down to the beach and what have you. So I'm drinking. I mean, I'm just drinking, trying to numb myself to get up the nerve to do this.
What?
Yeah. So I'm walking down, right? So Lightning Tay said, "Nah, it's gonna kill you," because she was already out there with Teresa and everybody. We had like 100 guests over there.
Right. Oh my God.
So he was like, "Nah, it's gonna kill you." I was like, I can't get it together. I don't know if I want to do this. And he and I are the only one that had that conversation. I said, I don't know if I want to do this. He was like, you got to do it now. You got all these people over here. You got these bleep people over here. You got.
Oh my God.
So, but that happens. I believe that happens 80-90% of marriages. Truly,
I did not want to go through
with the person that they're going down with.
I didn't. I was like, I don't care how much money was spent. I don't care. I don't want to do this.
Why? But why?
Because I knew that it wasn't supposed to happen.
And look what happened after you did it. Like,
exactly.
Look.
Exactly. Wow. I knew it wasn't supposed to happen. So he was like, "Man, gonna kill you." I was like, "Dude, I don't know."
People get married.
I'll say this. The night, and this is not in the chapter of the Delta book, but I'll share it with you guys. The night before, I was with a woman from the Philippines. I didn't want to get married.
Say that again.
The night before, I was with a woman from the Philippines.
The night before.
I said that for a reason, because I was not in a headspace.
I hope she knows that.
Yeah, she knows now.
Okay, I was gonna say because.
Yeah, she knows now. But that's
really put it all out. Look, Latasha said, "Wow,
that could hurt." Right? Okay.
No, I mean, no, we're good. We're totally fine. Good. We're totally fine. Yeah, we're totally fine. So I didn't put that in the book, but once we talked and everything was good. But yeah, I mean, we both knew we weren't ready for that relationship. We're better now as friends, years and years later, with a beautiful 17-year-old daughter who's doing well. Mm-hmm. Was going to Cornell in the summer for the summer program for the law school. So yeah, we're fine. We're fine in that area. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't ready for that.
I need a sip on that one. Really? A woman from the Philippines? Is this somebody who just met? A random person?
Yeah.
You was just nasty.
Say like Mark always give me the famous quote by Jay. I go through it so they won't have to go through it. So I went through it so they don't have to go through it. And I'm saying it.
So who don't have to go through it?
No, listen, I'm saying that because I want these guys to understand the seriousness of going into these relationships. This is why I'm actually sharing this. So I was nowhere near ready after spending all that money, and I wasn't ready for that marriage. Wow. Neither one of us were. And we're better now as friends than being a couple. We speak often, very often.
Yeah, that wasn't
Guys,
in the book.
what is y'all's opinion of and I know y'all did the show about is marriage a requirement, but what is marriage to you guys? What does it mean to be married? I mean, outside of the regular old stuff, what's the heart of marriage to you guys? And I know we're talking about being
To
single, but
me,
what's the heart of marriage?
to me, at this stage in life, the heart of marriage is someone just being there for you. Someone actually you could actually trust. You could turn your back and say, "I know she got this,"
Mm.
and vice versa.
Can you,
I
can
apologize.
can you mute your phone?
I thought I did. This the other phone going crazy.
So rude.
I apologize. And so for me, it's the thought of someone actually being there for you, and honestly and genuinely being there for you,
Mm.
and you know for sure and for certain that she or he will be there. That's my opinion on that.
I think, I mean, I look at it the same way. I think for me, it's like that partnership, that life partnership, knowing that you're going to have someone solid there. But oh my
I'm
God,
sorry.
can you tell them you'll be off the podcast
That's
in
the
about
neighbor.
another 10 minutes?
That's Miss
Y'all can go
Jackie.
dinner or
Well,
drinks
maybe the
after
house is
that.
on fire, Trent.
That's
Answer.
no, that's Miss Sadie. I mean that's Miss Jackie, my
Answer,
neighbor.
Miss Jackson. Then some may be wrong.
Let
Let
me
us
text
all
her.
hear. Put it on speaker.
Yeah, put it on speakerphone.
Just-
I'll call her back right now.
Yeah. Hey, Wendy, I see your comment. It says all goes back to loving yourself before you can love someone else. And that was in reference to what you had said, Trent, about not
Hey,
knowing
Miss
that
Jackie,
you
I'm
weren't ready
podcasting, right?
to walk down
Go
the
ahead.
aisle.
Right. Shan, you guys, I found myself a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
Okay, I definitely will. Thank you so
There's
much,
some
Miss Jackie.
people
Love you.
who just can rub me the wrong
Okay, bye.
way and have, for a long time, and some not so long. But I was telling someone I had took someone to lunch, and one of these people, that person was one of these people who would just rub me the wrong way. And I came back and I was telling someone that, and I had said this previously about somebody else and about somebody else. And I said, I think she's changed. Something's different. And I heard this sweet little voice said, no, it's not them that has changed. It's you. And so, but forever and a day, I've been saying, I can't be around them. They get on my nerves. I just cannot do it. But seemingly, when I got to my place, and you guys, I've been traveling this journey so long until it will be embarrassing to tell you how long. Matter of fact, I don't try to remember anymore. But I truly feel like the last 3 to 4 years have been my pivotal point, to the point where I have found myself. And that means to me that I'm going to do me. I'm going to do me, whatever that means. I'm going to do me. And that's it. And I think until you get there, and some people, we Christians for sure, just like Mark said that women were raised to do this, do this, do this. We somehow got it confused that taking care of yourself is a sin. It's not Christian like. In spite of the verse says you gotta love your neighbors and love yourself first. Love yourself as you
And I
love
think
as you love yourself. We forget to love ourselves. And if
Yeah.
we do, single, married, male, female, if you love yourself, none of that stuff.
people, these days, man, people frown upon you actually taking care of yourself.
Right. And make you feel some kind of way. But when
Exactly.
you know that you know that you know, you don't feel some kind of
Exactly.
way. You be like, that's you. You got to deal with that. If you feel like I should
Exactly.
do this, you feel like I should be this way or should be saying this, then you deal with that. Because it's one thing, people are so quick to call you selfish. Y'all hear this.
Exactly.
I've said, I'm not selfish, but I'm not you-ish either.
Right.
So you want to call me selfish because I'm not doing what you want me to do. I'm not
Exactly.
you. So if
Excuse me
you're
one second.
single, you're single.
Excuse me one second. Hey, Richard McLean, what's going on, brother? Out of Michigan. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Good to see you, bro.
Go back up to Mark had a comment on there, and this was in regards to you and your Filipino lady. He said, sounds like it was another fast tail harlot at the back party. Hashtag keep your, I guess, your heart three stacks. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's a take from a song. I know you're talking
I
about.
believe
Okay.
Trent hired Mark to post these. I think they done concocted, as my grandma would
Right?
say,
And
some
then we use,
foolishness.
and a
No,
lot,
no,
right. And
we
a lot of times we have to get
Mark
Trent
and
to
I have been
improvise.
knowing each other since we were teenagers, so I
Oh,
know
that's
the
why y'all
person.
sound alike.
So Mark also said, so, I'm assuming this is Mark's response into what we could, what marriage is to us. And he said, someone I could give my rib to biblically, and she not ask for extra barbecue sauce.
That is hilarious.
Oh my
But
God.
back to the point. Back to the point of being selfish. You have to think about this for just for a quick second. I want the audience to the viewers to think about it for a second. If I wasn't selfish in my recovery, I would still be in that bedridden.
Yeah.
I
That was,
started loving me in that bed. I wouldn't have got out of that wheelchair. I was selfish. Turned everybody off. I turned everybody off in my head. Went down the line, turning everybody off. Taking care of me.
so do you feel that you kind of had that whole self thing as well when you decided to actually start getting back into, I guess, writing the, book that you're doing now, the Romello book, and then actually starting back up your podcast and getting back out there in front of your viewership?
What was the question?
You feel like you kind of had that, what, like, was that what was what your motivation was for getting back out, like doing starting your podcast back up, getting back in front of people, even though you weren't in full
Honestly,
recovery, you
yeah,
know?
honestly, what motivated me was I really wanted people to see the goodness of God and what
Mm,
He had brought me through. I was blind, Shannon. I was blind.
mm-hmm.
So I honestly I just wanted to see folks to see the goodness of God and just focus on yourself. You focus on yourself, everybody's gonna be drawn to you at that point.
But you
Once you
know
get
what,
all,
Trent?
go
The
ahead.
beautiful part, when I hear you say I was blind, and take no offense to this, I hear a different type of blindness because a, it might sound crazy, but a blindness of the eye of the sight, I think is even different from a blindness of your soul,
I totally
your
get that. I get
spirit.
exactly
And
what you're
I think
saying.
you saw deeper than what the eyes could see. And
Way
sometimes
deeper.
God had to blind
Yeah.
you to see. And I wouldn't say God had to because I don't know that to be true. I feel like sometimes if you're being blind allowed you to see some other things that you would
When I
not
tell
have
you it was
seen.
razor sharp, well, it was razor sharp. You've seen me speak, Tim, years and years. You've seen me speak. And when I tell you, I'm on a totally different realm with that. Totally different realm. I could go to Memphis right now and speak without a pad again on a different level. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
received that as well. Good question, Shannon. Good question.
Thank you. So
Good
I
stuff.
didn't see any of the viewers. So you were supposed to be thinking about where you're at, letting us know where you're at if you are single, where you're at in your singleness, and your thoughts on being in a relationship at this point in time in your life. So if anybody wants to share that, we'd love to see your feedback. But this has been really good tonight.
It
I think
really
we
is.
had a lot of good perspective and points that we hit on. I don't know. Do we
I
want to do
knew.
part two
Hey,
to this, or do we? But
I think we should because we're gonna bleed this into. I'm gonna start pushing these assessments extra hard. Donna actually took the assessment,
okay,
and she's gonna be unpacked and everything, and we're gonna go down the line and do it. I'm gonna share my unpacking with the viewers and as well. Shannon, you're gonna take it. I think Mark's gonna take it as well. But I really want to push these assessments because the assessment really pushed me over the top because I've been running from Tammy for years with this assessment. For a while it started, came out to harassing me after a while. I'm like, Tammy, can you stop that? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. But she got me in a vulnerable place, and I took it. And just like she said on the previous podcast, I did cry through it, but it was life changing for me because
Trent,
she had to.
you bring up a good point. I don't mean to interrupt you, especially on your show, but I had a lady today tell me, I want to say a lady, a really good friend, because someone else took took the assessment in our little clique. Someone else
Right.
took it, and she was like, "I'm not taking it. You're not going to see how crazy I am." And so
Yeah.
I waited a minute, and I said to her, that's part of the problem. We How do you not see, and I hate to use that word crazy, but we all are a little bit crazy. And
Exactly.
so if that's the proper word, but I said, that keeps people from, if you don't realize how crazy you are, then how do you heal? How do you
And
Right.
we're all a half a peanut away from craziness.
Right,
So it
Right.
right.
starts
And
really
so
mad.
I mean, we
we
saw
run
that at
from
the
things.
Oscars on Sunday.
Exactly.
Exactly. We run from those things who show us who we are.
But I'm so grateful to the assessment for you walking me back to go forward,
Mm.
because I had to go back to that Four Horsemen book. I had to deal with Big Will. I had to deal with everything,
Wow.
and did I was completely running from it. Completely. Tammy, let me tell you guys, and I'm gonna let you guys go. This, I was in the bed at this point. Remember, I was still bedridden. She was like, "We're not gonna talk again until you read that book." Click, and didn't pick the phone up. And I'm like, "Dang, she got me out here now, talking about doing this podcast, and I'm talking about writing again, and all this other stuff." But she did not want to do anything else going forward with me until I got back into the book. So she knew exactly what I was running from. So she walked me back to go forward, if that makes sense.
Because sometimes, y'all, not sometimes, a lot of times we are stuck in something that happened to us. We are stuck in the
Right.
feeling, because what has happened has happened. It's gone, it's done. But
Yeah.
the mark, the residue that it leaves on us stays on us. And until we deal with that. And for Trent, I saw like one of the most dope dudes I've ever met in life. But still, sometimes, and he wrecks my nerves more than anybody I know, y'all. But he's my brother. But still, there would be times where I see him go back, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, to that little boy.
No,
Mm.
that's fine.
Hurt so much. I saw him go back. So I asked him to go back and read his own damn book. Go back and read your book. And when you're done, call me. Because I don't want to see this little boy anymore unless you are standing right beside him. The man, the
Mm.
Trent,
Wow.
standing right
That's
beside
why,
that.
Shannon, when you and I were talking offline by that whole situation with Will, I understood exactly. I saw that before. That was rage. It had nothing to do with that joke. It had nothing to do with no one else in the room. It
Right.
had to do with the little boy within Will.
Yeah.
I saw that before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I will say this is that, I got to read his book, and I could see or understand better why he is the way he is, as far
Mhm.
as his professional life as well as his relationship, because he puts it all out there. He was transparent about a lot of stuff.
Right.
But I definitely agree, it has a lot to do with that boy, right?
Exactly. And that
um
again, I'll say this again. I really want you guys to really go to taylorkennymedia.com, click on TK Media, and you'll see the assessment then. It's life changing. Trust me, I'm telling you.
okay,
I did it myself.
so we're going to talk about the assessment on Sunday. Is that enough time? If
We can talk about mine. I don't think Donna's gonna be ready.
Latasha
Until,
said she took it, she said, I took it and cried so much because it made me see me.
Oh, you guys. So thank you, Tasha. But I want to
what's
share
up,
something
Tasha?
with you. You know who Tasha is, right, Trent?
Yeah. How
Okay.
you doing, Tasha? Good to see you, man.
I had someone send today. Um, she says, "Good morning. Thank you for the assessment. Not done reading it all, but up to where I left off is helping me understand where I am and who I am. It's nothing short of amazing." I got that this
Mm.
morning at 8:32 a.m. from
Wow.
someone who took it yesterday. And Shan, you
Good
said
stuff,
something a
man.
minute ago that you were able to see from reading the book. And I'd like to change the word to understand,
Mm.
because sometimes we see but we don't understand why people are the way that they are, why they're responding. And I think if we understood, we could help them move past where they
Yeah.
are.
And if
Absolutely.
we if and for ourselves as well, we have
Yeah,
to understand
exactly.
what drives, what motivates us, why we see things this, why we perceive things a certain way or see things a certain way, and why we react certain ways and things of that nature. So
Exactly, Shann.
let's see, we had a couple of comments I want to make sure we hit. So our Facebook user was responding to my question. So he said, single, but notice women aren't willing to be transparent or honest with themselves. So if you watch this show, you know you can't generalize stuff like that with me. You
Yeah,
have to maybe say some, but I would like to know a little bit more about what you mean by transparent or honest with themselves, and where do you fall in? Where are you at with being transparent and honest with yourself? And what is it they're not being, some of these women aren't being honest with themselves about that you've noticed? Latasha says she's a widow of 3 years and she's okay with being single. Okay. Do you now, Latasha? My question is: do you want to be in another relationship? Being. I think everybody. It's different for everybody who's gone through losing a spouse. And I'll just share this one. My father, when my mother passed, he was not someone that waited a long time. Let's say before he reached out. To be in a new relationship, and it's right, wrong, or indifferent. Everybody has their own reasons, but I'm just wondering, are you interested in finding love or being in love with someone again? And hold on, let me make sure we get through the comments and then we'll go back. So Mark said, is there a study guide from Ms. Tammy's assessment test, because a brother likes to be prepared?
No study guide for it.
Yeah, and Richard
You
said,
are your study guide. You are the study guide.
If Will, he said, if Will would have hit, I'm sorry, if he would have hit me, he's like, shoot. Yeah, I think a lot of us said that. But I think Trent, we were talking about, it's like, not trying to get off subject, but he knew who he could go up there.
Absolutely.
And nothing happened as far as an altercation in that space.
Anybody else, he'd have got walked off that stage real quick.
So
you'd have caught them hands.
Can I ask you guys, Shann and Trent, maybe offer, because some people don't really like to, they're not comfortable with saying where they are in their singleness. Maybe they can message you guys privately if they want, and then you can bring it without names, because sometimes we're just not ready to say publicly how we feel about it and all that. And then maybe you guys can come back later and take care of that. And I'd like to do this. If you are, I'm going to say single, if you are single and you feel like you need to know more about yourself, I will give you a free assessment. Contact Shann or Trent and you guys let me know. I'll give you the assessment free and 1 hour of unpacking at no charge. You must be single. So now singleness wins.
Tammy, wait a minute. Tammy, you're putting money out the door now. Come on now.
It's not your money. So, hey. Mind your
business. I'm joking.
So y'all, I'm not sick or single. Awesome. I have to go.
Yes, actually it's 9 after. So yeah, we're gonna get out.
Hold on, we've got one last comment. It says so this is from our Facebook user. It says I'm personally evaluating my life and past frequently to see and know where I am. And some women are honest about, he said some women are honest about what they really want. That's very true. Okay. Good point.
Hey, you guys, I got to jump off, but before I go, Shann and Trent, I mentioned this to you. We are working on putting together a forum for single, married, divorced, separated women and men. I've had a number of people, particularly women, coming to me with questions. Why do men do this? Who are single but want to be married, but they don't want to settle. So we're putting together a forum of women and men where we're going to bring the questions to the center, and we're going to answer those questions as honestly as we can from our perspectives, women and men. Shann, I would love for you to be a part of that. Trent, I talked to you about it. If there's someone else and you want to be a part of it, you guys, this is for healing. This is for understanding. Whether you get married ever again or you stay single all your life, it's about helping men and women understand where we are and why do we continue to miss each other in the midst of singleness and being married or whatever. So I'm working. I hope to have that forum in May. That's mental awareness month and all of that.
Oh,
But
nice.
just
I
hoping
like
to bring
that.
some. And it'll be a private setting online. We will air bits and pieces of it because we want to do it again about once every quarter with different people, and then have a big thing with everybody. So if you're interested and you want to be a part of that, let me know, or let Shann and Trent know, and they'll get you in contact with me. But Shann, I'd love for you to be a part of that.
Absolutely. I would love to. Thank you for the invite. That sounds amazing.
Okay.
Looking
Good
forward to
stuff.
that.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thanks for coming on tonight, Tammy.
Thank
I
y'all
can't
for
wait to take
having
the
me. It's
assessment. I
always
feel like I'm gonna need a
joy.
box of Kleenex though.
So, so Sunday, Tammy, you're gonna come back and just unpack me with the audience.
I won't be able to Sunday because I have family coming in town on Saturday,
Okay,
and I'm going to spend that time with them.
got you.
So they will be leaving the following Saturday. And so I could do next, not this Sunday, but the next
The
Sunday.
following. Okay.
Right.
That's cool. That'll work. That'll definitely
Okay.
work.
Now, am I
Okay,
doing just yours?
unpack me. The scheduling for Donna. I think you got to do the private first, and then we'll schedule the to do it live. She wants to do it live as well.
Ooh,
Okay.
does she want to come on the show?
If I could do
Yeah, she
both
wants.
of you, I could do a general unpacking as if I'm doing a seminar for a group of people, because I don't have to have the same life languages in a group, because when I do the seminars, they're not the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll work it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Okay.
Thanks, Tammy. See
Thank you,
you
guys.
in about, I guess, another week or so.
Okay. Thank you
All
all.
right.
Have
Have
a
a good
blessed
Thanks,
night.
week.
Chad.
All right. Bye-bye.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
Well,
That was some
that
good
was
stuff,
really,
Tammy.
yes, it was, and I appreciate everyone who shared about their singleness tonight. So I guess if we're gonna
Don't
do
y'all
more,
talk about me because I ain't gone.
we're not talking about you. Oh, I like how she
You're a
just
mess.
popped right back on.
You're a mess. You're a mess. You're a
I
mess.
gotta go, you guys. It was great. Thank y'all so much.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you, Tam.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
So I